about content creators getting subpoenaed. I haven't had a chance to look too much into it. I saw Molly McPherson talking about it. I adore her. She does basically what I do, but for PR. She's a PR crisis manager. And so she will give from a PR standpoint, love Molly. But I have seen that there are different ways that subpoenas are rolling out. First, people have the right to quash subpoenas. Second, subpoenaing content creators is going to be a massive backfire, like a massive fucking backfire. And they have the right to quash them because there probably isn't much of a basis for subpoenas to content creators, at least not until discovery is done further with the defendants. And if they can show that like a defendant and someone's communicating, even then they might not be able to get to it, because a lot of creators, even if they are not or would not call themselves reporters, they're covered by a lot of the same shield laws that like a New York Times is. So it's going to backfire spectacularly, just spectacularly, because some of you are like, why would it backfire? Well, some of it is the content creator, any content creator that gets something like that they're not going to be required to turn over their shit because they can move to quash those, and there's probably not a disclosable connection there, is going to turn it into content. So for the content creator, it's going to be like, let's ride. And they're not subpoenaing a content creator, again, who may or may not have a source, is going to be like trying to subpoena the New York Times, who may or may not have a source. Depending on what state they live in, it's not going to go far. I mean, you guys remember, I got a cease and desist a million years ago. What is the first thing we did with it? Yeah, we fired up a live stream and read it together and giggled and went, nope, that's not happening. Nope, this is not happening. Nope, that's not happening. So the party seeking it's not going to get the information they're seeking. And the content creators are just going to have more attention drawn to the fact that they're covering a thing. And they're not going to get any information from it. Like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Also, like anyone just being like, content creators on payroll for this or payroll for that or whatever. It's just like, they're not. Also, legacy media, often not on payroll, they have access relationships. They have advertiser relationships, but they're not like getting paid to say a thing. Now they might say a thing and then get more clicks, more views, more advertising, and then get paid. But it's incredibly rare that people are getting paid to say something. They might benefit from saying it. It's a wild thing. I don't think it's going to go well. Also, it's going to be a W for any of the content creators because they're just going to turn it into content. So I said this from the beginning of the Lively Baldoni case. Both sides have gotten incredibly hyperbolic at this point, but it is clear that Baldoni's attorneys, the Baldoni Wayfarer parties and their attorneys, understand the media and social media landscape much better. They have a much savvier understanding of how to navigate within the world of social media, online, and content creators. Lively's attorneys do not. Lively's attorneys do not know what social media is going to do. It seems that they can't foresee that how this is going to go badly. And it seems that Lively's attorneys have tried to make a shift. Like their initial filings were very standard kind of white shoe filings, like very like, we're fancy New York lawyers, like very proper filings. And then they tried to take the tactics of Brian Friedman, who's very much like, I know how to write things that people are going to talk about. And I'm writing something that people are going to talk about and that everybody can read and understand. Brian Friedman wrote filings that you don't have to be a lawyer to understand his filings. He laid it all out in too much detail, in my opinion, but not for him and not for his client. Like he had a goal, and the goal was that everyone can read it. You don't have to be a lawyer. You don't have to read between the lines. You don't have to do any of that. You can pick up that complaint and understand what they are telling you is their perspective. And he knew how that would be picked up and covered. Lively's attorneys are playing catch up in the online space, and they aren't as savvy in the online space. They might be incredibly smart lawyers. I don't doubt that they are. But being incredibly book smart and being incredibly legally smart and being able to cite all of the Supreme Court case law for the last 15 years by like name and key cite is not going to help if you understand legacy media but don't understand social media, because it's just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. So it's cases that are high profile play out now in multiple courts. And there is the very real possibility that you can win in the court of public opinion and lose in the court of law, or vice versa. And if you lose in the court of public opinion and win in the court of law, I don't know if that win is going to help you all that much, because the journey to get there is part of the case. And sometimes you're going to have to slug through like years of shit before you get to a win. And by the time the court of public opinion is already divided, not the law nerds, because we don't do that, but the time the court of public opinion is already divided, like, and they've picked sides, sometimes it doesn't matter to people what is shown in court. And if people are coming into watching court, and remember, Lively Baldoni is not going to be televised. So it's going to be filtered through those that are sitting in the courtroom if it goes to trial. In like the Depp Heard case, and I make the parallel because it's also a civil case with celebrities. In the Depp Heard case, we got to see it play out in court. But there were times I watched what happened in court with all of you, and then I looked at the headlines and I went, did we all watch the same thing? Because we all watched court together, and we're seeing it very differently. And so if the court of public opinion is already divided and has taken their side, sometimes it's not going to matter what the evidence shows in court, because people are going to filter it through the side that they're seeing a thing from, and it's not going to change their mind. Court process changes people's mind if they still have an open mind. If they don't still have an open mind, court's not going to change their mind. And that's the unfortunate truth of it. And again, people don't have